Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to one of my podcasts. I think it's number 20 or something, isn't it? What are we, number 20? It's an absolute pleasure and honor to have with me Farrukh Ahmed, my brother from another mother.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
Farrukh interviewed me a while ago, and they played some videos of our last interview, and I couldn't work out who was who. I was like, get it closer. Which one's me? Which one's Farrukh? So, absolute pleasure seeing you.
Thank you very much.
Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
And it's great to be here again.
Thank you. Thank you.
On the other side of the table.
How's your journey? How's your journey going? I know that you started recently doing podcast interviews.
Yes.
What was the purpose of that? And I need to learn from you, actually.
We started, me and my wife, we're doing it together. She's the producer of the podcast. She helps a lot in a lot of things. We started in September 2019. So barely just started. I wouldn't call myself any experienced podcaster. I'm still learning. But the main purpose behind it was kind of a selfish one. We wanted to collect a lot of great stories from great successful people for our kids, to inspire them and to motivate them. And the reason we chose this particular area of motivation and inspiration was because from my background also, I come a little bit towards this motivational speaking and training. And I realized that there was so much that we could give back to people, not just for my kids. Yes, that's part of it, but to people in general. And there's so much that we can learn from people around us. And it's kind of an interesting story how it all began, because we were sitting one night at our place. We had close friends who were moving out of the country, and we were just having their farewell dinner at our place. And we were talking about all kinds of motivational talks and inspiration, and because that friend of mine also does a lot of philanthropy and a lot of mentoring. And it was past midnight when they left. They had a flight 2 days later. They were moving out. And then my wife was like, dude, that was some amazing discussion. I wish we would have recorded it. And it would be so good.
And it was gone in time.
And it was gone. And we realized that, and I realized that it really was. And then I remember 1:30 a.m. in the night, I just called her up and I said, listen, I know you're flying off, so I don't have time. So, and she had already packed off her apartment and everything. She was just living in a hotel. And I said, tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, we're coming over to record a podcast.
Wow.
And that's how it all began.
Amazing. How do you find the people? How do you find the right people to interview?
So I'm lucky enough to be surrounded by this thought and these people, because that's what I go for. You know, I don't like to waste time thinking and talking about gossips and all of that. Whatever I do, I like to surround myself with these people because they inspire me. So what I did was, first thing I did was I sent out a message to all of these friends. They're really very good friends like yourself. You know, I sent out messages, hey, this is a new thing we want to start and we would love to hear your story. We know your story, we know you for so many years, but then we'd like to put them on record. And most of them were great, we're grateful that they agreed. And then, we started recording them. One challenge that we had earlier on was, the time and the logistics and traffic in Dubai and everything. It was difficult. And then I have a full-time job. Most other people have full-time jobs. So then, out of necessity, we invented the kind of a traveling podcast setup. So we can just put everything in a backpack and then roll it wherever we want to, set up wherever we want to, just shoot a podcast.
Are you technically minded? Because I was so impressed. You came here in 15 minutes, set it all up, and it was a more professional setup than mine. So
no, I think your setup is very efficient. I mean, we just walked in, we sit down, and then we're good to go. For us, yes, it is an effort to set everything up, but like I said, it came out of necessity. But coming to answer your question about technicality, yes, I do come with a little bit of technical background of audio engineering and sound recording out of hobby. As I was growing up, I was very much interested in these things, and I learned how a recording studio works and how music production works and all of that. So yes, I did have that thing, and very early on I had picked up the hobby of photography and videography, so that helps a lot. But I always tell people, and I promote the podcasting world to a lot of people, and I say everybody should have a podcast.
Yes.
It's tremendous amount of learning. And I say, you don't need to know anything at all. And frankly speaking, if you just want to start, you don't even need to have video. All you need is your phone, just put it in the middle of two people and start talking. That's it.
Yes.
And then you can grow and learn, and there's no limit to that.
Yes.
I'm still learning.
Before we started recording, we were discussing the phone, because you got your phone out and you're recording this conversation. I'm not technical at all, right? So I asked you, and you started telling me a story about that having a memory on your phone saved you once. Can you tell me the story? What happened? Was it in a podcast?
Yes, it was in a podcast, very recent one. And in fact, if people go back and listen to my podcast, the last one that I released, this was, so today is the 22nd, 15th of January 2020. The episode that was released, episode number 10, was with a very famous celebrity musician from Pakistan. And he was visiting here. He's a very well-known musician, not just in Pakistan, but across the world. And I got to talk to him because he has a very interesting history behind him, how he got onto that, educated as a computer science engineer, and technically sound in that area, and then suddenly one day you decide to quit your job and get into what you love, and then you succeed world over on that. So amazing story. So what happened was, we had a very short window to shoot that podcast, because of course he was touring and then he had to leave, and then when you have to time yourself between some ins and outs of people, you have to really work efficiently. So we go there, we set up, we had around 2-hour odd podcast. Halfway through the podcast, so we use a very similar setup audio recording like you have here, and my wife's usually the one monitoring behind the scenes. She realized that the audio recording was not working. Ooh. And halfway through, and in the middle of a very interesting story that he was telling us, and then I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And then later on she figured it out, she switched it on, we fixed it, we took a little break, and then we fixed it. But in post, it was a big challenge how to combine all of that, mix in that. And I really did not want to lose the first half of the podcast. I loved it. So, but thankfully for these backups, so I always have redundancy that I've also learned through experience of having multiple audio sources recording at the same time.
Backup system.
So yes, so while we are recording podcasts, other than the mics, we have at least 3 other sources recording on the side.
We should do this. Yeah.
And that really helps. So it was an effort in the post, but we combined all of the audios into a bigger and beefier signal, so it sounded close to what the mics sound like. Do a little bit of processing on it, and then we were good to go, and we were able to release that podcast.
Just from my mobile phone recording.
So at a time, usually I have around 3 different sources, combining mobiles, cameras, and an external recorder.
So it saved you.
It saved my life. And in fact, I mean, you learn as with anything in life, you learn. I mean, we started off in September. We had shot 6 episodes. We had queued them on the platforms and everything. We were marketing them. I was in the middle of some of the post-processing of some of the episodes. And then suddenly we got hit by ransomware and all the data was gone. And I had no backup.
So you lost the 6?
And I lost 6 episodes. Gone. And most of those episodes were of people who were traveling to and fro, taking connecting flights.
So it was so hard to catch them again.
And it's impossible to catch them again.
Shame.
And unfortunately I lost them. And that's when I realized that, every step I have to take backups and all. But then that also helped, and we were discussing just before we started the podcast, of revamping the entire equipment to suit that purpose.
Yes.
And that resulted, I think, in a much better production quality. So in hindsight, it was a blessing in disguise. But at that point in time, when you were down, you feel everything is over.
Of course, and also what I find is that it takes time to edit. We have a backlog of podcasts, and somebody who's taking the time to be interviewed, they want to hear the result. They want to see it.
Yes.
Right, and you feel like disappointed if you can't give it to them fast enough.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to discuss lots of things with you. Honestly, out of all my guests, you're like one of my favorites because we're on it. No,
thank
seriously.
You so much.
One, I love you very much. Your wife was so amazing.
Thank you so much.
How did you guys meet? Was she into personal development like you, or is that something that she's grown into living with you? Or was it the other way around?
So how did we meet? That's going back 15 years.
Was she into personal development then? Or?
No, she's actually a very, very enterprising woman who I feel, sometimes I feel I'm restricting her because I tend to convince her of my hobbies and all, and I love her for that because she's always there to support. But so she was running her own business. Initially she was working at one of the biggest fashion houses in Pakistan as a main designer, and later on she started her own business. And then we were moving countries between here and Pakistan and all of that, and then back here again. And I, at all points in time, I used to think about this is what I want to do. I want, I've always been very, very sort of. I tend to find time to do some things in no matter what I'm working, where I'm working. I always try to find time to meet people, inspire people, motivate people. So I used to have a lot of back-to-back meetings and seminars and things like that, and she would always support me. And then when this podcast although was her brainchild, so although she didn't know anything about the technical bit in the beginning, but then she took time and effort to learn all of that. Wow. Because she understood the importance of it.
Because you have kids, right? And she follows you everywhere with you, supporting you. Amazing.
Yeah, I think the best thing about us as a couple is that we are open to each other's hobbies and ideas, and we learn to enjoy each other's
it's
hobbies.
Admirable. It's admirable. Yeah, amazing. So how did you guys meet?
So
energies are the same.
Well, that's a very unconventional kind of story.
So it wasn't an arranged marriage, was it?
Oh, more than arranged.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We hadn't even seen each other.
No.
Yeah.
So your stars were aligned, yeah?
Yes, thankfully.
Because you could have been totally
I'm so
opposite.
Grateful for that. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't have been what I am and where I am today if it wasn't for the support of my wife, and if it was somebody else, I wouldn't have been what I am today. So all credits to her. But when we got married, I mean, at that point in time, it was a new discovery for both of us. And I think, and I say this to a lot of people I meet, that, whenever you're in a situation where things are new for you, don't shove them off immediately, or don't make up your mind based on stereotypes. Experiment, explore, learn, and then pivot towards how you wanted to go.
So you guys worked at it.
So
was it love at first sight when you met each other, or was it something?
There was no sight. We just got married.
And when you met, you're like, oh, hello, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you. And how does it work?
So at that time, this was like I said, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't that. It's still 21st century. You make it sound as though it was like after the war.
Right? It seems a lifetime, So
delete that part, please. Yeah. Just joking.
No, in a good way.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. I've got it on recording now. I'll blackmail you.
Yeah. So actually, I was here in Dubai. She was in Pakistan. And then, of course, we were at that age that parents were talking about us getting married. And also one day, my mom just called me, and I don't know whether you want to delete this part or not, but kind of embarrassing.
Is it embarrassing?
I mean,
we won't delete it.
Not in that.
We won't delete.
You're gonna put me on the spot.
Absolutely, there, huh? Yeah. What we're gonna do? We're gonna boost that part, please. Yeah.
So my mom just called me and said, "Hey, listen, this is So we saw somebody. We want you to talk to her."
Did the families know each other for a while?
No.
Wow,
no.
Really?
So usually, in our culture also, it leads from one connection to the other, and so on and so on. Then you meet, and then you decide, and then you maybe sometimes.
And you're like, I'm not flying back to see her, just book it.
So incidentally, she was here on a visit.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So my mom calls me and says, hey, this is her number that her mother gave me, just call her and speak to her. I said, what? You're giving me the number of a random woman and a girl, and then you want me to call her and say, hi, I want to marry you or whatever, potentially. Yeah. It doesn't work like that.
It's a good referral, yeah? She's expecting your call.
Yeah. No, she didn't know.
No, you're joking.
She didn't know. The best part
is... That's not a referral, that's a lead. Yeah.
So my mom just said, just speak to her. She doesn't know that, you'll be calling or why you'd be calling.
Thanks, Mom.
And I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
And then I try to figure out what to talk to her, and I just called her up and I just made up a story that...
so you started a relationship with a lie.
Now see, I told you this was an embarrassing story.
Super boost this one, yeah.
So I mean, I just said, okay, you're going back and you're here on a visit, so I need to send some very important documents back home. Could you help me take, the classic
No, it's not so
excuse.
classic. No, I don't lie, man.
And then
she went, right, I'll
I
collect
thought that way I would get to see her at least when I hand over the documents
yeah.
to her, and I didn't know what documents I have to send back.
Yeah.
So it was just a car magazine in an envelope sealed. And incidentally,
You met?
no, we didn't.
You
meet,
didn't?
because she sent her cousin over.
No,
to
you are
come
joking me. Yeah. Some hairy bloke turns up like, I'm not going to marry you.
Yeah, but then eventually, the families met,
Okay.
and they got along very well.
At that time, aren't you like intrigued to see what she looks like or anything? Like,
For me, I think
she
more
could be like
important
20
is
stone, 200 kilos in weight and no hair. Well, that's not so bad.
I don't think that crossed my mind, mainly because what I like I said, I always go for what's up here.
Wow.
So we
So
spoke
you
on the
just struck
phone.
it lucky, right?
I say that out loud. I mean, I struck gold.
She's a wonderful lady.
When we spoke, I realized that I can talk to her and she would understand, and what she's saying I understand, and there can be a good relationship.
Yes.
And that's what all that mattered to me.
Beautiful.
So we practically got engaged over phone. So our families were there at their place. I was here, she was there. We were on phone. So
it's definitely cheaper.
kind of So, and it was a voice call because we couldn't do Skype.
Sure.
So, and then when I went back home, I met her for the first time after we had already gotten engaged officially.
And then what did you like? Let's go for a meal, have a chat, get to know each other. Or was it like, tomorrow we get married? Here's your ring.
Well, the rings had already been exchanged.
Oh, okay. So you were totally committed.
So there was no backing out then. Yeah. But then we went out for a meal and then we talked. But the best part was, even though we were meeting for the first time, physically speaking, we didn't feel as if we were meeting for the first time, because during that time, after we got engaged, we used to speak on phone and all, and by that time we had already discovered, and our sort of brains had aligned.
Yeah.
So it wasn't uncomfortable at all. Wonderful. And from that time on, it has never been.
And you have how many beautiful kids? 2?
So we have 3 kids.
3 kids. Right.
2 boys and a girl.
Wonderful. How old are they?
So my eldest is going to be 13 next month.
Okay.
So and then 11, and I have a daughter, 4-year-old.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, does your wife work, or
she used to now, but not since we had a daughter.
Okay. So you work, you bring up 3 kids, and you still find to do podcast and. Amazing. My respect to you both. Really, really.
Thank you so much.
3 amazing kids, amazing family. I truly respect you for that.
Thank you so much.
Having covered your personal embarrassing moments, how does, if the listeners and viewers want to, including myself, have a more successful podcast, how do they go by doing it? Have more reach, have more viewers or listeners.
See, the best thing about podcasts is that you don't have to script it. Yes. You don't have to fake it. And if you fake it, people will know, and it will not be successful.
Right.
Other than that, it's a long game. At this point in time, podcasting is what maybe social media was in 2007, 8, in the early days of it. At that time, only the geeks and the real genius people used to have websites and all of those things, because it involves some coding and some back-end technical bit. So not everybody could do it.
Yes.
That's where podcast is right now. But now it is becoming easier and easier with different platforms.
Okay.
And it's not going to be like this in 5 years, right? It's going to be really, really congested. And that's why I tell everybody, get on the podcast train now. Now is the time.
And keep creating content.
And the idea is keep creating content.
Farrukh, if nobody's watching it, right? So let's say I've got a team, thank God, to look after my things. Let's, in layman's terms, right? I video you, and do I open up a YouTube account and just stick it on YouTube? But you talked about podcast platforms, right?
Right.
How do you go by opening these platforms? How does it work? Is there an app somebody has to download? Is it Farrukh Ahmed's app, or is it a different platform and you happen to be there? How does it work?
So the best thing about podcasts, the way it is distributed, is through what is called an RSS, which is really simple syndication. That's what RSS stands for. But technically speaking, it's nothing but a simple line of code that you copy paste.
Okay.
So you host your podcast at one platform. You can choose from multiple platforms, from SoundCloud to Libsyn, many available options depending on how you want to proceed in terms of financial commitment. There are free options as well.
Yes.
You just host, so all you need to do is upload your audio content on that platform,
Yes.
and that platform would have given you an RSS code that you then submit to iTunes and to Google Podcasts and wherever you want to host, promote your podcast to.
So let's say,
and that's it.
So you do this, it goes on iTunes.
Yeah.
Everybody with Apple or whatever has
Yeah.
iTunes, and you can do Android as well.
Yes.
Right. How does somebody find you? Because I go on iTunes and I'm downloading like famous pop stars and stuff. So I go into podcasts.
I think that comes with
and
time.
there's thousands of people looking.
Yeah.
How do you make sure you're on top of that
I think
list?
that comes with time and the kind of it will take some time, but you have to be consistent with the kind of content that you're creating. So if I keep on jumping around from topics to topics, today we're having a conversation, tomorrow I'm talking to somebody else about, let's say, movies, the next day I'm talking to somebody else about weather, and so on and so forth. I have no consistency. There's no recognition.
So this is consistency to the listeners, to the viewers.
So they should know what to expect out of my podcast.
So what happens is when I'm just from layman terms, okay, on somebody who's not an IT savvy, I go on press podcast and I see the Gary V's and Grant Cardone's, but I never see mine or yours. Or how does do they have to specifically go looking for us, put our names down?
In the beginning, that's how we will have to promote our podcast to friends and to social circles.
We pay?
You
can pay?
Yes, you can buy ads, or you can have some really smart hashtagging done, and use hashtags on social media like Instagram. Push out snippets on
so
Instagram,
you post
LinkedIn.
a snippet of your podcast onto Instagram, hashtag relevant
hashtags,
okay? And then somebody clicks on the hashtag, then goes direct to your iTunes account or into the Android.
Yes, and then
playlist.
you can have a call to action at the end of that snippet, say, for full episode, go to so and so link, or search for Dariush's podcast on iTunes, or on Google Podcasts, things like that. But of course, when you're talking about people like Gary Vee and all,
he's had 1,000 podcasts,
they are like,
right? For 10 years, I think it's been.
The amount of content that Gary Vee produces in a single day is probably more than most people make in 2 years.
Yes.
And the amount of distribution network that he has. So naturally, he will have more traction.
Yes.
Same. I mean, it's the more you put your effort into it. I know people who post 2 episodes a day.
Yes.
They're able to do it, and then they
to
get
traction.
eventually.
Let's say the content is good. To get traction, how long do you think your expectation should be? Let's say mine. I'm doing 1 a week. If I want to accelerate it, what would be success in your eyes? What would be not success?
I think
how long, let's say I hire you as a consultant, and I might do, right? If you're interested.
No consultancy. We're just friends.
Thank
we're
you
just trying
to help me promote and
Yeah.
make it the top 10 podcast in the Middle East.
Oh, Middle East is a very, very niche market, so maybe you can have Arabic podcasts or have Arabic translations.
Be a great podcast because I won't understand the thing.
Fine, yeah, it's the same here with me. But then maybe have somebody translate or transcribe in Arabic. That's one part. Maybe not the full 1 hour episode. Maybe snippets.
Okay.
When you're posting snippets on LinkedIn, have them transcribed in Arabic as well. That's one thing. But then generally, what people agree on at this point in time is that once a week is ideally the minimum amount that you should do. I don't do once a week. I do once in every 10 days. And that too, we've started now. We used to do once every fortnight. And the reason behind that was because, of course, I have a 9-to-5 job. And with that schedule, with family and everything, for me, most important was the consistency in terms of being able to publish out on time.
Yes.
So I thought even if it is once a fortnight, that's fine in the beginning. But now I have enough podcasts in queue that I can push it to once in every 10 days, and then hopefully once every week, and then so on and so forth. So I always say, don't pressurize yourself on that, because so there has to be a reason why you're doing a podcast in the first place. So I don't do a podcast because I expect it to make money for me right now, at least.
Yes.
Right? I want people to know who I am and what I'm doing and the kind of value that I'm trying to bring to people. And my main product is not my podcast. My main product is for example, my time management course.
Yes.
my training courses, that's my product.
Yes.
You know, and as a person, what I want to give to people in value, that's what I'm trying to bring through my podcast. And so naturally, my first focus will always be on my content and on my the trainings that I'm doing. Podcast is just a tool to help it promote. And then once you get to that point where you are discovered, people get to know you, then you can increase it.
When is that point?
It really depends on content, I would say. So I say there's a lot of competition when it comes to motivational speaking and inspiration motivation. You would know, being in this business, that everybody you turn to is a motivational speaker.
Yes.
So then people have to take time to test everybody and then figure out where they align with, who they align with, right?
Yeah.
So there will be people who will be listening to maybe me, maybe you, and then people will say, no, what Dariush says makes more sense than what Farrukh says. So I'm going to align with him. And I'm going to start following.
At what point would you say I've succeeded? 1,000 views, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million?
For me, it's an ongoing thing. So right now, another thing right now, like I said, podcast is an early bird right now, is because the metrics are not as well defined as YouTube and other platforms.
But you can take advantage of it, right?
You can, but at the same time, what people are doing now, you're also recording this on video. I record my podcast on video and I post it on YouTube because that gives me some idea of the traction that my podcast is getting.
Do you promote it on YouTube?
Yes, I do. I do YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn all together.
So do you do a snippet on YouTube? Or
yes. No. YouTube is full podcast. Yeah.
And then you find the demographics of your viewers.
Yes.
And then you spend a little bit of money promoting it on YouTube.
Yeah. I'm not promoting them. I'm not buying ads at this point in time. Okay. I want to see how the organic growth is. Okay. Because once I get to that point, I want to be able to commit to it in a lot more.
Do you put all you said 10 do you put all 10 at one go, or you just you pace it?
No, I pace it. One episode every 10 days.
Okay. So it's coherent with your launching of your podcast.
So yeah, all the episodes on all platforms come out together.
I see. Okay.
I would start promoting with snippets 2-3 days earlier than they're expected to launch.
Okay. The build-up, teaser.
Yeah.
What I find is when I'm watching YouTube, suddenly this guy comes along and starts talking for about 30 seconds, and it's really irritating. Mm-hmm. So if you want more, click on my this. Do you advise that, or do you think it should be a snippet of your podcast, and if people want to hear more, they click?
Well, it works different for different people. You have to experiment. For example, if Gary Vee puts out a content of 10 seconds, people will still get something out of it. 30 seconds, they would still get something out of it. Okay. And if he says, for full episode, go here and there, people would actually go. Okay. If I do that, maybe people will not go because they don't know me enough.
Yes.
But here's another thing. How many people would actually have time to sit in front of YouTube and look at my bald head for an hour, right? So I have to experiment. So what I do right now, what I'm doing is I have my full episode on YouTube.
Yes.
Because YouTube now has a feature that you can switch your phone off and the audio would still be playing. Okay. So then you can, in a way, it's like audio as well. But then it's available on all audio platforms like Spotify and everywhere. And then I have a minute or so snippets that I would publish on LinkedIn, on Instagram, through WhatsApp, just send across to your friends and colleagues. And if they like it, they will pay it forward. And that's how. And at the end of that 1 minute snippet is a link to the whole episode.
Yes.
So that's what I'm experimenting right now. Like I said, I'm very new in this world. Still learning from a lot of people here in UAE and international trends as well. But what I'm consistent about and what I'm sure about is that I want to keep it doing, and I want to keep it going with the consistency.
Yeah, because you're natural, you yourself. Right.
Exactly.
What I felt
I don't have to fake it.
Yeah, it was just you. Yeah. And that's why I felt so comfortable. That's why I'm enjoying this so much, because it feels so easy.
Yeah.
Right. Not that you're easy, but you know what I mean. So tell me about somebody that you would, if you had to wave a magic wand, apart from me, who would you like to interview?
To interview?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Top 3.
See,
and why?
And why? Okay.
Whatever, that was a joke. About me was a joke, but he didn't laugh.
No. See, there was a reason why I wanted to interview, and we discussed that on my podcast. and I let the viewers go there, listeners go there and
Okay.
listen to that. But yes, you have a very inspiring story behind you.
Thank you.
And like that, what I look at, or what I look for in my guests is a takeaway that tells people that you are only limiting yourself by your imagination. You know, so I'd like to quote one example here.
Please.
Till April 1954, everybody thought that there is nobody in the world who could run a mile in under 4 minutes.
Yes.
And then what happened in April 94? One guy comes in and he says, and he breaks that record.
Yes.
And from that time till today, more than 20,000 people have done it,
Yes.
including kids,
Yes.
high school kids.
Yes.
So what does that tell us?
Roger Bannister. Was
Roger
it?
Bannister, yes. And what does that tell us? It's that we limit ourselves by our imagination and by something that people tell us, oh, it can't be done, so that means it can't be done.
Yes.
But the moment that barrier was broken, everybody thought it can be done.
Doable.
It's doable. And then
Yes.
people keep on doing it.
Yes.
Right?
I know coaches, if you don't want me to interrupt
Yeah.
you, they actually tease or cheat their students, and they pull the 1 mile flag
Yeah.
to 1 mile and 50 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So the person tries harder
Yes.
to get there, and then they tell them afterwards that you actually passed the 1 mile post 50 yards ago, and
Yeah.
they did it within.
Yeah.
So they go.
We see
it's
this
all
in the gym.
thought process.
We
yes.
see this in these, of course, with athletes and all. And Colin, his name is, I think, Colin O'Brien. If I'm, apologies if I'm wrong, but I think it's Colin O'Brien, who in December 2018 became the first man in the history to cover the entire Antarctica alone, unsupported. He had his
What the hell?
fuel, food, his sled, everything. 54 days.
No dogs, no nothing. Just
Nothing, just himself. People have been trying that for hundreds of years and dying.
Yeah. They
And
can't
you know
even
the
get
best
to
thing
the,
about
they
it?
can't give it from the side to the middle, right?
Yeah.
And he went all the way across.
All the way across. And the best thing is, in 2008, he got burned in an incident where the doctor said you would not be able to walk again.
Wow.
And in,
He'll be a good guy to interview.
yes, why not? I would love to. There's
see
so
how we
many
can.
people. There's
Let's do it.
See, that's the thing, Dariush. There's so much of abundance and so much.
We
of
could
inspiration
organize our
around.
own podcast, 2 eggs interview.
Oh, that's a good name.
2 eggs.
That's a good
2
name.
boiled eggs.
Yeah.
So what's the guy's name if it's correct? It doesn't matter if you get it wrong. What was
Colin
it?
O'Brien.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
American?
American, yes.
Wow.
His
I'll
triathlon
learn.
has multiple world records,
Amazing.
and he did it. And the doctor said you would not be able to walk
Walk.
again. He was walking 1 month after his accident,
Amazing.
and then he built it up. And then December 2018, he had that record. Nobody
Mind
in
power.
the history. Yeah, it's all mind power. He has a book called The Impossible First, or something like that. Amazing book. And that's what he says, you know, figure out your impossible and you do that first. We in our coaching world, we say eat your biggest frog first,
Yes.
you know, and I use that technique a lot in my time management courses, you know, figure out your frogs,
Yes.
eat the biggest frog first.
If you're French, that's easy.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't dare try
I'm only
it.
joking. Yeah. Eat your
Well.
French legs, frog's legs. Yeah. So,
So-
who would top 3? Give me your top 3. Would he be one of them?
Sorry?
Would he be one of them?
Well, why not? Because I really cannot decide because I see abundance everywhere. I see so many people.
Tell
So
me
there-
your top
there is-
3. We're going to send it out there. They might call you.
Wow. Okay. So
I
would
would
love
like to interview
I
Sheikh
would-
Mohammed.
I would. Sorry.
Sheikh Mohammed from Dubai.
What an
I would
example.
love because
What an amazing
how
story.
would someone
Oh my God.
see a desert, visualize
Wow.
something, build a whole country around it. Think
Wow.
about it. I've got difficulty developing my 100 staff company. No, seriously, so stressful. Imagine how many
Wow.
times he'd been hurt or abused or lied to, cheated on.
But
Because
look at the
and
look at
then
the love
still-
he's earned
yes.
now. Look at the love he's earned, and he's done it so selflessly. And there's not a single person that would say negative about it
yes.
because everybody's living that his dream, his
Yes.
passion. We are
Where
all
would,
living.
where would 2 foreigners come to and do good for themselves and be welcomed and not feel
Yes.
prejudiced?
Yes.
I want to talk to listeners who are outside the Middle East because they don't know what it's like in Dubai.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Fly here, check it out, see it, how open-minded it is.
Yes,
Was it
truly.
last year was a year of tolerance?
Yes.
Amazing. They
Just
tolerate.
imagine the concept that you have.
Yes.
You're actually promoting tolerance in a way that now we don't hear about it anywhere
It's
in the world.
safe. It's secure.
Yes.
I've forgotten what it's like to lock the car, or
True.
walk around with my mobile phone or my white kind of handbag, and it's fine. In Europe, people are scared. In Far East, you can't carry your mobile phone.
Yeah.
You get snatched. Your bags get snatched.
Yeah.
We created a country of abundance, safe, all from a vision, a dream.
Yeah.
I would love to.
I
I'll
would
actually
love to.
kiss his hand before we start the interview because I just want to.
Whenever you get him on, please call me in. I'd love to be a part of that podcast.
Yeah, I'll be honored. Absolutely.
He's one great person to learn. I'm sure he would have so many things, and you don't get to learn these things in schools and in universities.
No,
it comes from inside, from within you.
I think the local population are very, very. No, I don't. I 100% know it's not. I don't think that they're very lucky and blessed to have a leader like that.
True.
Amazing.
True.
And it keeps driving. It keeps growing, and it keeps pushing, and when the world is suffering from recession, this place keeps growing.
Yes, it does.
So he'll be in my top 3. So we can't share the same guys, right? So although if I do interview Sheikh Mohammed, I will invite you.
Thank you very much.
You can hold the camera.
Oh, okay. I can be the fly on the wall. I don't mind that.
I'm just joking.
I don't mind that.
Joking.
You know,
your top 3. Often people say Richard Branson. That's a common one. You can't say Richard Branson. Were you going to say Richard Branson then?
No, I was about to say Bill Gates.
Oh wow, yes.
Yeah.
Did you see that program on Netflix? Was it Bill Gates' brain? Inside Gates' brain or something? Bill Gates' brain.
Inside Bill's brain or something like that. Yeah.
Bill's mind or something like that. Yeah. Could you Google it and find out inside which part of Bill Gates was it?
It's on my list. Yeah.
It was an amazing.
But from right from the 70s and all, how even Steve Jobs, how they picked up, how they built. They practically built the future.
Yes.
They practically built the future and handed it off to us.
Yes. The funny thing is, I know people who know Bill Gates, and they say that he looks like a geek, but he is one of the most competitive human beings you could meet.
I'm sure. I mean, no wonder he's
been the richest for so many years. Yeah. Amazing. So intelligent. I don't know how many books. 10 books a week or something he reads, and he memorizes most of it. What was the program called? Did you find it? You can say it if you want. What's it called? Inside Bill's brain.
Yeah, inside Bill's brain.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, he drinks Coke all the time. Right? I'm like, don't you care about your health, all this sugar and everything else?
Yeah.
But amazing.
He's doing so much for health-related projects as well, all around the world.
I think his wealth is valued at 134 billion, and he can't give it away fast enough.
Yeah. Amazing.
If you imagine, he's just put in a bank account and you get 10% a year. That's 13 billion. You're earning how much? $1 billion a month.
Yeah.
Just interest on your money.
Somebody was saying, I'm sure it could very much be true. If he drops $100 bill,
it's more expensive to go back and pick it up. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he carries cash. Do you know the funny thing is most successful people don't actually pay for anything. Right? They get it given.
Yeah.
So if I had, let's say, a development and I want to sell it, I'll give one to Bill Gates, I'll give one to David Beckham, I'll give one to the Kardashians. And before you know it, everybody wants my building is because they think they're going to be neighbors to these guys, right? So free marketing. So what I find is the richer, more successful, well-known they are, the least they pay for things.
Yeah, true. But then still, they say, rich people keeps on getting richer and richer. Absolutely. That's because of the network. That's what happens.
So Bill Gates, 2 and 3. Who else?
So Bill Gates is one. Elon Musk, definitely.
Yes.
A person
Can
who is
this guy run a profitable business? I tell you something. I love to learn from him. He raises billions, right?
Yeah.
He raises money.
You saw what happened at the Cybertruck launch.
It was the most embarrassing presentation I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah, but did you see the hype it created and the marketing?
Yeah, but it wasn't planning on doing it. If you and I had done it, we would have been fired, right?
Yeah.
And then he goes 2 weeks later and starts doing a silly dance in China.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? The guy, what is it? Volkswagen sells 30 times more cars than Tesla. 30 times more. But Tesla's more valuable than Volkswagen.
Yeah. Again, he's one guy.
10 billion.
He's one guy who's building the future now.
For himself.
I think we're all
gonna benefit, right? But Porsche build a better electric car.
Yes.
Right? And Toyota builds a better electric car. There's lots of they're cheaper.
Electric cars go way back 100 years, I think.
Yeah. Edison was all for pushing electric cars. Yeah. But then Ford won.
Yeah. For whatever reason that did not happen. And if we would have been spending as much on R&D on electric cars, then we have even half of what we've spent on
we would have a clearer air and better cars and everything.
Yeah. But then
do you know what amazes me? We're going to go back to your top 3. What amazes me is that Henry Ford, you see, they really discovered oil in the late 18th century, right? To turn it and refine it for vehicles and things. Who would have thought then that there will be 200 years of oil? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If I was Henry Ford, build a combustion engine, I'd be thinking like, maybe this thing's going to last 10 years, right? Maybe this oil's going to run out. But they had so much belief and vision that they think that oil will last forever. I can't envisage how much oil there is.
Yeah. I'm sure there would be. I think it was more than that. Not just. I think people like Ford and now Elon and all. They look at the bigger vision of developing the overall infrastructure and the technology and all of those things.
And whilst people,
who knows, tomorrow
they're losing
we have
money,
something better than electricity.
Yes, and they
solar
keep
is maybe good enough.
Yeah, well, he owns the biggest solar company in America, doesn't he? Part of Tesla. Incredible.
So he has everything in his bag.
And people are willing to give him billions, literally billions, for his vision. I think his paychecks I think he's going to get paid $350 million for achieving the target of share prices.
Wow.
Cash. And of course he's worth about 20 billion just having shares of stock in Tesla. And then he's got his SpaceX.
SpaceX.
How does he get the time?
Boring company and all of that.
Yeah.
I love that name, by the way.
Yes. Amazing. So that'll be your number 2. Who'll be your number 3?
So this is gentleman that I really, really wished I had thought about podcasting, and so unfortunately he's passed away now. But if I could go back on time,
Steve Jobs?
No, it's a Pakistani philanthropist. His name is Abdul Sattar Eidi.
Did he pass away recently?
He passed away 2016, I believe.
Okay.
But he's in the Guinness book for having the largest private ambulance network in the world.
Wow.
And he built that. He's one of the biggest philanthropists ever across the world. He's a very well-known figure.
But he
in
did
Pakistan.
it silently, yes. He
very
didn't promote
silently,
himself. He just
no.
What was his main business?
So he started off taking care of orphanages. He had orphanages. He had mortuaries. He used to get into the kind of stuff that people were ashamed of getting into, and he used to say, "I want to help people around me, charities and donations and." You name it, hospitals, wherever donations are required. So if I want to give any charity, I would just close my eyes and give it to the ED Foundation, and then they would look around for the deserving people and projects and then donate to them. The best thing is that the man was so humble. You would never see him dress fancy or go to fancy places and all. And his in his own, he had a huge net worth. In terms of not just the money that you have, but the influence that you have. That's the real net worth of a person. The influence that you have, the amount of people that you inspire and motivate. Wow. And that is phenomenal.
And he died of old age?
Yeah, he died. He was, old age caught up, he was sick, he wasn't well. And he used to tell people that if you don't have enough money to raise your child or to educate your child, give your child to me, I will raise him as my own, and I will educate him.
Wow.
And he did that. He and his wife together, and now his son runs the organization, and it's a legacy now that is paying forward. So I would really want to know, you know what I would want to ask him, how and where did you get that humility? I mean, it's, when you look at that level of humility, you're surprised. I mean, at some point in time, everybody gets selfish.
Yes. But he didn't.
Never.
I think there's a guy, I don't know his name, you might know, he started the duty free, and he's given like $3 billion of his money, Irish I think he is, and he didn't tell anyone, only I think Guinness Book of Records or CNN or something like this researched and find out that he was one of the biggest philanthropists on the planet.
Wow.
And he's given all his money away, he's got nothing left.
Wow.
And he's still living.
Wow.
And he said, the day I die, I would have given my last penny away. I'll find out who he is, I'll let you know.
See, that's something beyond
Yes.
what we can imagine.
Yes.
And you're saying, so he had a lot of money and he gave it away. But what if you don't have any money and you still have that spirit?
Yes.
And if you earn 10 dirhams, you want to share 5 with somebody else.
Yes.
You know, that's fascinating.
Yes.
You know, and that's what he was.
Maybe you should see his family and
So yeah, so
interview them,
they're
let's
very,
see.
very accessible. Anybody can just walk into their office
let's
and just
contact
meet him.
him. Let's do it as an
So
exercise
that's
for 2020.
So yeah, my wife has met him, but
His
I
son
have yet to.
or
No, him.
Wow.
She's met him, but I have not been lucky enough. But hopefully someday I would want to meet his son, maybe, or his wife, who are taking this forward.
Touching,
going
and maybe
forward.
get some stories about him.
Yeah, I would love to.
So maybe that message goes on for years.
Yes, I would love to. These are people.
How do you spell his name? What was his name?
So he can be found on Google with his last name, EDHI.
EDHI.
Yes. So his foundation is called ED Foundation.
Amazing. Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Do you know, I didn't know whether you were Indian or Pakistani, but you're Pakistani, right?
I'm Pakistani, yes.
I believe there's a huge tourism industry now opening for Pakistan.
Yes, there is.
Which is amazing.
Yes.
And I've seen some odd videos and I'm like, whoa, what a beautiful country.
You know, we are proud to have one of the most diverse tourism industries, and weather-wise also.
Mm-hmm.
So I say practically in a span of 24 hours, you can experience extreme cold and extreme heat.
Yes.
So you start from one end of Pakistan, where
mountains.
where it snows in June and July.
Yes.
And at the same time, the other end of Pakistan is
Something.
scorching weather like you have here in the summers,
Yes.
touching around 50s.
I've seen the pictures of the most amazing valleys,
And
oases,
valleys
the
are
greenery.
beautiful.
Because you don't imagine Pakistan being green. In my ignorance, right? But it's beautifully green in
Yes,
some areas.
it is now thankfully being recognized as one of the best places to visit in the world, one of the safest places as well.
Yes.
So a lot of this, was a media hype. It keeps on going up
It's
and
BS.
down, but then the
It's
thing
BS.
is,
Yeah.
thing is, so Pakistan has gone through a lot previously. So, but then we persevere, and then thankfully now that's being recognized.
Yes.
So I come from Karachi city, grew up there, was born there, grew up there, came to UAE here in 2005, and then I went back
Yes.
in 2007, and then came back here in 2014. My wife actually grew up here.
Oh, had she?
Yeah.
She hadn't been back home much, just to see
She-
family, I guess, but not living.
Yeah, so they had moved back after she was done with her college and all, but then her early education was all here.
And your children born here, raised here?
No, only the daughter was born here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we came in 2014.
Okay.
We got married in 2006.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny that as expats go, I don't feel like an expat until something goes wrong.
Trust me, you don't feel that way.
I don't
because
feel,
it's such a
unless
welcoming
like,
country.
God forbid, I'm sick or when it crash or something, and suddenly I feel like, oh, I don't speak Arabic. Oop, I'm not covered by
Yeah.
this. I'm not,
Yeah.
So when I feel you really, maybe it's a bit controversial, but you always have to be covered for just in case when you're an expat.
Right.
I have a home in Thailand, and it feels the same. When nothing goes wrong, it's wonderful. But the moment you get into a car crash, immediately the police are on the side
Right.
of the locals,
Right.
and you feel like a foreigner.
But I feel here the police and all, they're very, very neutral
Very
in that
fair,
sense.
yes.
I feel that it is my, the minimum way that I can pay back is to be able to communicate in Arabic fluently.
Do you speak Arabic?
No, I don't.
Oh.
So that's why I keep, I keep
Learn.
pushing myself, trying to learn. I can understand a little bit, make maybe the crux of the conversation, but I can't speak to save my life.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I just can't speak languages.
Yeah.
Also, I can barely speak Iranian, and I'm Iranian.
Maybe we're too old to acquire that new skill.
Yeah,
now.
neural connections has gone long ago, and I'm way older than you. So, what does the future hold for you?
So a future.
Give me short term.
See, basically, I just want to continue giving back, and I say this because I have been blessed enough to be able to identify the goodness around me. So when I was growing up, I was not like the typical typical kids around my age. I would never go out and play in the streets. I was never in any sporting or team or anything. Never played anything. Part of that was also because I used to get bored easily. I don't know whether I was a fast learner or not, but then that made me jump hobbies and motivations very, very quickly. So I would pick up some stuff and then get bored with it and want to move to other things, and that allowed me to discover a lot of things around me.
So you're always seeking, always learning, always searching.
I was seeking. And I consider that a blessing. A lot of people say, why do you go through this pain of doing a podcast?
You could be at home, playing around
sitting,
with your kids,
watching Netflix, doing this and that. But somehow I really cannot do. I hate when I'm on leave from work.
Yes.
I always find something else to do. And while I was growing up, I think my father, bless him, he had pushed that in us, in the siblings.
Yes.
During summer vacation, when all the kids used to be playing, it was a tradition. Every summer vacation, we were required to go and sit an entrance exam of every school around town.
Amazing.
And he said, it's up to you whether you want to switch schools or not. But remember, the decision should be yours.
Wow. He gave you choice, and choice is power.
Yes.
Choice is freedom, right?
And that gave us confidence. And that gave us the wonderful world of discovery around us.
Wow.
So I started, I got...
Is your father still with us?
No, he's not.
Wow,
He
what a
passed away in
wise man.
2016.
I'm sorry to hear that. What a wise man.
Yes, really wise. And I can't imagine what he must be thinking at that point in time, because we used to hate it. I mean, like every other child.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he had a vision.
He had a vision, yeah. And then when I was growing up, I think 10th grade or something, I got hooked onto music, and I was the first person in my entire family to even talk about music at home.
Do you play?
Yes, I play.
What do you play?
I play drums, I play keyboards, I play guitar.
You have all these at home?
Yes, I do.
Wow. And your
So,
kids
as
play?
a hobby. My son plays drums.
Wow. It's amazing that you can play music, but you're not good at picking up languages. Because if those neurons are connected, you can actually pick
I don't
up
know,
languages.
maybe because that part of me started much earlier when I was young and came naturally, and I wanted to. So I started playing the keyboard, and I got bored, and I could play it.
Do you play in a
fairly
band? Do you play in any bands?
Yes, I've
What
played
kind
for
of
bands. So we used to play mostly rock, pop rock kind of stuff, and then I had a band for almost 10 years.
Amazing.
That was always as a hobby. So apart from
I can actually, I don't know, funny enough, I can actually see you as a musician. Yeah,
Really?
I can see you, yeah. Maybe not rock, but...
So, yeah, I'm not the headbanging kind of guy, but So that was it. And as I grew on and I got into my career and all, so I continued that thing wherever I was. I had a passion of connecting with people, maybe because of being used to or being on stage.
Yes.
I wanted to connect with people, and I felt comfortable.
You were comfortable with it.
Yeah. So no matter what role I was in my organization, I used to always tell my boss, hey, listen, can I do one training session here, one training session there for them, so on and so forth. And my boss used to say, as long as it doesn't affect your productivity, fine. So all of this led me to somehow discover what I call as the proper time management skills that somehow I think I built on my own. I was lucky enough to be able to understand those.
Yes.
And that is why all my peers and my friends, they always say, when I go back home from work, I'm so exhausted, I'm so tired, I don't have the capacity to do anything else. And I just tell them, listen, if you have the time to watch Netflix for an hour,
You have time to.
you have, yes, then you can't complain.
Yes.
People come
Don't
and
waste
say,
your
my
time.
life is stuck. I'm not growing in my career. I'm not growing in my professional, personal life, social life, whatever you want to do.
Yes.
And then you have the time to sit and
Yeah.
watch
TV.
Netflix, watch TV.
And they wonder where their life's gone.
Yeah.
I remember my father-in-law who passed away a few years ago. He was in his 70s and he said to me, Dariush, I have no idea where my 40s and 50s went. I'm 53, soon to be 54, and I have no idea where the last 15 years have gone. You know, life is short. My
that's what I
grandma
say.
was 90 and she said, enjoy life. Life is short before he
True.
passed away.
True. See, I always tell people that of everything that you have in the world,
Yes.
whether it is money, whether it is your career, whether it is your personal life, whether it is your social life with your friends, you can negotiate with everything
But time.
but time.
But most people
Go the other way around.
the other way around. They live life like it's forever.
Yes.
And it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart. We've been in over an hour.
Wow.
Beautiful, no?
Wow.
I've really enjoyed it. Now, we're going to do a little bit of a teaser.
Sure.
What I would like you to do, if you would like to, and I'll be honored if you do, give me some kind of a message to the listeners. If you could give something away right now that they could benefit from over the
Right.
next 30 seconds or so,
Right.
what would that be? And I cherish it, please.
Right. So I think
Something to take away.
I think if there's one thing that people can take away from this conversation is that remember that we limit ourselves beyond our wildest dreams. If you can believe in it, if you can imagine it, you can achieve it. And the first step towards turning your life around is time management. Because time is the only thing you cannot negotiate.
And this is not just work, lifetime
anything
management.
and everything.
Yes.
You want to learn a new skill. You know, science has proven that the best way to stop aging is to learn a new skill, because that prevents aging of your mind.
Wow.
And the first step to do that is to realize that you can make, no matter how busy you are, you can make time. And I always say, at the end of it all, the race is with yourself. It's not with other people.
You come alone. You come alone. You leave alone.
Forget what other people
Yeah.
think about you or say to you. And you know, if I'm not driving the most expensive car, or if I'm not wearing the most expensive watch, what will my peer think, and this and that? Forget them. Because at the end of the day, they're not the ones paying your bill.
Absolutely.
You are a product of your circumstances.
Absolutely.
And if you want to change your circumstances, you want something else that you've never had, you'll have to do something that you've never done. So I think my takeaway would be, realize this, forget what people think about you, and learn skills of time management. And if people really understand time management, their life will, even if I want a nice, good, relaxing time and vacation time, and I want it to be really relaxing in my mind, I still will need to take time out for it.
You're right.
And that's where time management
Because
comes.
you could be on the beach and not relaxed.
Exactly.
You could be at work
Yeah.
and not achieving much because you're not managing your time properly.
Yes.
I love you, man. From the
Same
bottom of my heart, I do.
Same here.
I respect
you.
you very much. Now, if my guys, my viewers and listeners want to reach out to you, I know you do time management courses and I know you have your beautiful podcast. How can they do that?
So very easy to reach out to me. On LinkedIn, you can search with my name, Farrukh Ahmed. But on all other channels, I'm with at Farrukh Talks. FARRUKH TALKS.
Done. And we'll have a text under this
Thank you
podcast
so
as
much.
well. It's been an honor, my
Yeah.
friend. Let's do
Honor
this
for
again
me
soon.
To be here with you again, second time, and look forward to more conversations.
Done. Let's do this, right? Let's not forget.
Yes.
Proud of you.
Thank you so much.
My love to your wife, please.
Thank you very
And family.
Thank you very
Bye.
much. Same
Thank
here.
you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.